Hello, everyone. Once again, we're back live and in person. Good to see you. I see Artblade in the chat. MPK's in the chat. That's all for now. Hopefully, lots more people will be in the chat shortly. I had a pretty busy week. My taxes are now officially done, which is a great relief. I'll have to worry about that again for another 9 months. On my Philip Metcalf's here, Marcus Simoes. Good to see you guys. Thank you for stopping by. Glad you could make it. Like I was saying on my Ring last night, my Ring camera, not last night, 2 nights ago, I see a coyote run past, which was unusual. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning and almost completely dark, but somehow he showed up enough to set it off. But he didn't stick around. And BK says, "Damn, I got my taxes too to do my taxes too." Yeah, probably better get to it too because we've only got like 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that to get them finished. I'm quite lucky in that my bookkeeper handles most of the details, so I just have to make sure there's no mistakes and sign it, which is, pretty easy. Anyway, about the coyote, I'm hoping he just kept right on going. Marcus says coyotes attack dogs, right? Yep. They attack dogs, cats, deer, you name it. If it's small enough to eat, they'll attack it. A friend of mine who lives up the road a ways, and his house backs up to the woods. I think he said during coyote season he shot 16 of them this year so far. So, Stephen Nowacek says, "Have you ever thought about expanding on the Squire book? I really enjoyed it and would like to find out more about the growth of coal." I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I suppose I could do a sequel, but I got so many new ideas. I'm not in any big rush to jump back into a different series or an old series or world. Marcus says, "Yes, the Squire is my favorite." Oh, that's good. We'll see. I've got a bunch of stuff planned for this year, but I may revisit it someday. We'll see. Yeah, I got to finish the Rogue Star series. That's going to be the next book I do. James Hill says, "Hello, James." Hello, James, to you too. Glad you could stop by. I'm about halfway done with the last book of the new fantasy trilogy I've been working on. So once I'm finished with that, it'll be good to take a little break and do some science fiction. And once I do that, not sure what I'm going to do. So we'll see what inspiration strikes me when I get to that point. I've been thinking quite a lot about that isekai story I mentioned a few times, and I think I could bang out a few books in that in a hurry. Andre White says, "Any thoughts of a crossover?" Not really, not right now. Most of the worlds aren't connected, and I'd have to figure out a way to justify, and figure out how they hook up. So, James Hill says, "I hope today has treated you well so far." It has. I haven't had any trouble. It's been a very nice, quiet day. Marcus says, "James, have you time to catch the TV shows that you miss?" Let's see. I watched a movie a few nights ago called The Swordsman that was really good. And the new season of most of the anime are just about all uploaded, so I can jump back and start watching some of those. I like to wait. I like to wait until the season is done generally before I start watching them. So, but yeah, I've watched a little bit, but not too much. When I finish the book I'm reading, I'm actually quite looking forward to watching the Top Gun sequel. That's on Amazon Prime right now, so that looks like it's going to be pretty good. Marcus Simone says he loves Isekai. Okay. MPK says Otto messing with the portal. Yeah, if I did do something like that, it would have to be because Otto was messing with the portal, but it took the power of all the arcane lords combined to connect to another world, so I can't imagine how he would build up enough power to do it himself. Philip Metcalf says, who are your favorite science fiction authors? Mine are old school. Let's see. It's hard to say. I can't think of any right off the top of my head, but probably my favorite science fiction stories are the old school Star Wars novels that are no longer canon. Any of the pretty much all of the writers of those are all really good, and a lot of them write science fiction. And yes, I see. Stephen Novak said Darth Plagueis is my favorite. James Lucerno, yeah, he's one of them. I like James Lucerno's work a lot, and Darth Plagueis is an excellent novel. I really enjoyed that. Philip Metcalf says, who are your favorite? Oh yeah, that's the science fiction authors thing. Definitely James Lucerno is a good one. I'm trying to think. I'll keep thinking about it. If I think of Frank Herbert, I like Frank Herbert quite well in the Dune books. I've got all the Dune books, including the spin-offs. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites. I can't remember the guy who wrote it, but I like the series starring a character called the Stainless Steel Rat. That was from back in the 50s, but I can't. I can't remember who the author's name is, but his books were quite good. John Dugan says, do you keep notebooks of ideas for future projects? I do. I have a 3-ring binder, about 3 inches thick, I'd say, full of ideas for future projects. So, yes, I definitely keep new projects, and I could not get another new idea for the rest of my life, and I still wouldn't run out of things to write. Wonder Bubble says Montana here. Hi all. Hi Wonder Bubbles. Glad you could stop by. PK says, what was my favorite cartoon growing up? Let's see. I was always a G.I. Joe guy. I also like Transformers. I had all the Transformers toys as a kid. They were a lot of fun. Yeah, those two were probably my very favorites. I remember my very first anime was the Macross Saga. I like those transforming planes that turned into robots. That was a cool show when I was a kid. Philip Metcalf says Harry Harrison. Yep, MPK also pointed out. Philip Metcalf says stainless steel are great. Yeah, I really enjoyed the stainless steel rat stories. Let's see. James Hill says, what if another world finds the gate and opens it themselves? I suppose they might find one of the gates, but finding getting into somebody strong enough and with the right knowledge to activate one would be kind of hard, but I guess anything's possible. Marcus Simone says the Force Unleashed books are very good. The Force Unleashed. I'm sure they are. I can't. My mind is drawing a blank on them, but I'm sure if it's a Star Wars book, I'm sure I read it back in the day. Jeff Wilson says, I like the Squire story also. The weather is perfect in Northern California, but rain Monday through Friday. I hope everything having a beautiful day. Clan of the Cave Bear is my favorite. 100 Gray Ghosts. Yeah, I haven't read Clan of the Cave Bear. Yeah, the weather in California has been really weird. Usually you think of it as being like super nice, but sounds like lately it's been pretty rough out there. Rough in Mississippi too, where they had all the tornadoes. Wonder Bubble says, "What if another world accidentally connected with Otto's portals?" Maybe. Wonder Bubble says, "I love the Macross Saga too, and Thundercats." Yes, I forgot about Thundercats. I actually preferred the 2003. I think it was 2003 reboot of it. I thought they did a really good job. Max 2.0 says, "When are you going to release your next audiobook series?" It's going to be a while. It takes a long time to write, edit, and get recorded audiobooks. Sometimes I wonder, maybe going forward, if instead of releasing them all quick like I did the Soulbound Saga, I should do one a month, so it kind of is stretched out longer. That way you guys get more new stuff. But on the other hand, I didn't want to make you wait, for the next book in the series, so it's tough to decide what to do. But next month, I'm thinking I'll have the Lightning, the no music and no sound effect version of the Lightning. And then later on, I'm just about ready to do the next installment of my motion comic. So those will be the next two things I do on YouTube. But yeah, it's gonna be a while before any major releases. So hopefully you guys can be patient with me. Marcus says, "James, do you remember the cartoon Galaxy Ranger?" I do not remember that cartoon. I don't think I've ever heard of it, but sounds like an interesting idea. Chippewan says, "I have finished the Portal Wars, Soulbound, and Divine Key sagas. Is there a chronological order since Alchemy and the Ethers seem to cross over?" Portal Wars and the Soulbound saga, they're all pretty much happening at the same time on different worlds, so I would recommend reading the Portal Wars first, but other than that, you can read them pretty much in any order. Steven says, "How do you feel about Chuck Palahniuk?" I think his writing is interesting. I've never read any of his books. I know he's famous for Fight Club, but I saw the movie, but I didn't read any of his books. I know he was the agent he worked with actually stole a bunch of his money and then went bankrupt. So I don't know how much he lost, but it sounds like he had a pretty rough time. Wonder Bubble says the accidental connection would be an irresponsible science type messing with things she didn't really understand. Maybe. Caleb says, "Either way, we appreciate you." Well, I appreciate that, Caleb. Thank you. Wonder Bubble says, "Sorry, not trying to develop a storyline for you." Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Talking about, what ifs is always fun. Benjamin Boakai, hopefully I said that right. You have a wonderful reading voice. If you're talking about the audiobooks, that's actually my narrator, Joe Hempel. I didn't narrate most of my books, and the ones I did, I wasn't all that crazy with how they turned out. So, Tristy says, "On your recommendation a week or so ago, I started listening to The Blade itself. The narrator has more voices than I do in my head." Oh, cool! I hope you're enjoying it. That was one of my favorite all-time fantasy books. So, Big Pete says, "Better late than never." Absolutely. Glad you could make it, Pete. Good to see you. Always great when one of the regulars shows up. So thanks for stopping in. Definitely better late than never for sure. Wonder Bubble says I would listen to a book narrated by him. You'd want to listen to a book narrated by me? I don't know. I wouldn't want to listen to a book narrated by me, but that's just me. Andre says, let's not forget to praise the narrator. Does a great job. That's for sure. Joe does an absolutely amazing job. I think he's narrated like 30, 35 of my books, 35 or 36. So yeah, he's been great to work with and he does an amazing job. So I don't see me finding a new narrator anytime soon happening. So Marcus Samoa says just finished Solomon Kane by Robert Howard. Always good. Yes, I remember I read Solomon Kane years ago. I got the hardcover on a shelf behind me. Yeah, it was a fun series. I watched the movie too, but it was nothing like the books. I was surprised, but I mean it was still a good movie, but definitely not what I was expecting after reading the book. But to be fair, that happens all the time. Big Pete says, I've been listening to radio play style audiobooks this week. Brings a whole new experience. Yeah, I thought about doing them that way, but it's a lot of extra work. And you really need somebody who knows what they're doing to assemble it all into one, cohesive thing. So I haven't actually done it yet. Wonder Bubble says, LOL, all that imagination and modest on top of it. Love the books. Like the person writing them. Well, I appreciate that. I do my best, tell a great story. That's about all I can do for you guys. So I'm glad if I do a good job on them and everybody enjoys them. So James Hill says, I have an idea for a game lit novel bouncing around in my head. Might be interesting. I've never read I have read some. A lot of light novels are sort of game lit too. They'll have some kind of a heads up screen or something that gives their status. Andre White says, last question. Do you play Dungeons and Dragons? I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons since high school. I enjoyed it then, but where I live is pretty rural and there aren't a lot of people, who are into that kind of thing. So I haven't played probably in 25 years. Steve says, my only problem with your audiobooks is once I start one, I find myself awake at 3 a.m. needing to finish it. Thank you for putting them on YouTube. Oh, you're very welcome. That's definitely a good sign if I'm keeping you awake till 3 a.m. So I'm glad to hear you're enjoying my work. Global Hoppy says, I think I've been your fan for about a year now, and you have yet to disappoint. Well, that's good. I do my best, so that's all. At the end of the day, all any writer can do is tell the best story they can and let the chips fall where they may once it's out in the world. But I've been pretty lucky. Most of the reaction to my work has been positive. Not all of it by any means, but most of it. MPK says, I kind of want to see Immortal Otto teaching Anna Maria's daughter magic. Parenthood, or the closest thing Otto is capable of, would be some nice character development. Maybe. I hadn't really thought about it. He'd have to overcome a lot of mental barriers within himself to do that, so I can't really see it happening. Big Pete says Solomon Kane is a good read. Listen, a very driven anti-hero like Otto Schenk, but very different. Perhaps that's why Otto is so interesting. Maybe. Yeah, Solomon Kane was definitely a good character. I think almost all of Robert E. Howard's characters could almost be considered anti-hero. Conan's not exactly a, knight in shining armor type of character either, so probably one of the reasons I'm such a big Robert E. Howard fan. Let's see. Wonder Bubble says, I'm trying to figure out a craft-based gamelet story. Having trouble with parts. Maybe someday. Crafting-based? That's an interesting idea. Let's see. I've seen a few light novels that are crafting-based, or sort of crafting-based. One of them is called I'll Survive with Only Potions, I think. Something like that. I've been reading something about something blacksmith in another world or something like that. That's sort of semi-crafting based. You might, if you're looking for some ideas, you might explore. You might want to check those two out. Global Hoppy says, I've been writing on novel sites to start me off, places like Web Novel, and it's really nice to get instant feedback on my early work. Yeah, I posted a few. I think I posted the first 3 Soul Force Saga novels on Royal Road just to see if if I could find some new readers that way, but nothing really much came of it. I think for those to work out well, you have to start a new series and just have it be right there and not available to other places. So I never went back to it. Caleb says, I just realized that if blood calls to blood, then there might be a blood magic in this universe. Yeah. With the ether, you can, if you can figure out how to make it do what you want, you can have pretty much any kind of magic I can think of. James Hill says the smith works with the flaming steel. Is that the name of a book, or that's not the name of the one I was thinking of? I'll have to look it up. Just a second. I can tell you the exact name. Wonder Bubble said, Caleb, the magic only works if the blood comes from the caster. No, a lot of demon magic uses blood as a medium for life force to summon demons and that sort of thing. So, I suppose it could be like vampire magic. That might be an interesting idea. I'm gonna see if I can find those, the title of those novels. Let's see. My Quiet Blacksmith Life in Another World. I just bought the 6th volume last week, so that was the name of it. If you're interested in a fantasy story about a blacksmith as the main character. So let's see. MPK says, how does the ether differ from the force? You mean the force from Star Wars? Well, I suppose the force from Star Wars sort of has its own will, and it, directs what the Jedi and the Sith do, rather than the ether is just there. It's a power source. It's pure chaos that it kind of drives evolution, and it's basically the engine of change in the universe. So Tina Westman says hi Tinder, good to see you. Artyom's here. Finally made it. Glad you can make it, Artyom. Been nice chatting with you in the Discord as well. Oh, I meant to ask, did you ever find a place on your bookshelves for those the Soulbound Saga books, or are you still looking? Wonder Bubble says midichlorians equal quarks equal ether. No, I don't have any little bug monsters living in any of my people. Artyom says Haven. I'm not sure what he means by that. Haven't had time to organize. Army keeping me busy. Okay. That probably was supposed to be haven't. Let's see. Andre says to everyone here, please share the audiobooks and author on all your social media. It's a win-win-win situation. That would be great. I'd definitely appreciate it. Recommendations, personal recommendations are definitely the best way to get someone to try your stuff. Advertising can help a little bit, but at the end of the day, if somebody you know says, hey, you should check this out, you're a lot more likely to do it. So MPK says, did the ether exist before the death of the creator and destroyer, or was it recreated by them? The creator made the ether when he created the universe. He created the universe, the ether, and all the planets and stars and galaxies and all that stuff. The angels, demons, and race of true dragons were created when they died from their bodies, and then the leftover magic. The only thing that existed in my universe, my fantasy universe, is it was the void was there, and then he got trapped in amongst reality, and he's trying to get out. So, but everything else was made by the creator. Wonder Bubble says word of mouth advertising. Yeah, that's definitely the best. Tinder says, I love your Portal War Saga series. I recommend the audiobooks to my friends who ask. Well, I appreciate that. It's definitely my most popular series. I think The Hidden Tower is up to almost 260,000 views, which is pretty amazing. I never in a million years would have thought I'd got that many views on it, but it just keeps chugging along, getting 1,000, 1,500 views every day, and it keeps climbing up. I always wonder how many people on YouTube are actually interested in audiobooks. I wonder what the ceiling for maximum listeners is, before it's like, okay, everybody that's going to read it or listen to it has listened to it. But I'm hoping that it is quite a bit higher than 250 some thousand. MPK says, so did the creator create the destroyer? No, they were brothers. They're cosmic entities. They existed outside of the universe. Sort of yin and yang. The creator made and the destroyer destroyed. And when they didn't even fight. It just, when the creator decided he didn't want this universe to be destroyed, he stood in his way. And when they made contact, both of them exploded. So Jeff Wilson says, you captured my imagination. I've listened to thousands of audiobooks. I don't like repeating line A. I'm not sure what that last bit means, but I'm glad I captured your imagination. Let's see. Yeah, like I was saying, the cosmic entities exist outside of, or existed outside of reality. Like the mortal reality. They're like the most powerful beings in existence. That's why only the creator could trap the void, who's also a cosmic entity. So there you go. The three most powerful beings in my universe. I needed something to sort of get the universe rolling, and that was the concept I came up with. Let's see. MPK says, I guess if you're curious about the limit of how many views audiobooks can have, you could try to find the ones with the most views. Probably the Harry Potter books have hit their limit. I don't know. I read somewhere that despite how many copies Harry Potter had sold, they had only been read by like 25% of their potential audience. I'm not sure about the audiobook audience, but I think that was for the textbooks. Big Pete says, like the Big Bang Theory. Sort of like the Big Bang Theory. Chippewan says, just out of curiosity, are some of the ideas and tendencies of some of the characters drawn from Catholic beliefs? No offense intended to anyone. Not intentionally. Not like modern Catholic beliefs. The Church of the One God from the Soulbound Saga is based on the Catholic Church from the time of the Inquisition. A considerably more severe version than we have now. Yeah, the basic premise of that series for me was, what if you took the Roman Empire and added the Inquisition to it? And that was sort of how I came to the idea. Steve says, I think viewership on YouTube is like compounding interest. It will grow exponentially. I hope so. It's been a lot of fun finding new readers and chatting with all you guys every week. So I'm hoping I keep growing. Next year, I start to get a bunch of my audiobook rights back, so I'll be able to post a bunch of books, a bunch of extra books besides new ones. I get the Soul Force Saga back next year, and I think towards the end of next year, I get the first 4 books of the Aegis of Merlin. So those will be fun to post. James Hill says, so kind of like the God of the Bible. I suppose the creator is sort of like that. I don't know that he had a angry older brother or a twin brother that liked to destroy universes, but as far as the creating part of it goes, I suppose the creator is like the God of the Bible. Wonder Bubble says, have you ever read the Dragon Riders of Pern? Those were the books that taught me to read. I have read them a long time ago. Don't ask me to summarize the plot because I can't actually remember it. I know they had to burn threads out of the sky to save the world, but that was about it. Tinder says, I'm on the last book of the series, the Portal War Saga, and can't bring myself to finish it because I don't want it to end. Well, sorry. I am working on a spin-off series right now, so it's set in Colt's Land about 10 years after the Chamber of Eternity, so hopefully that'll give you another little Portal Wars fix. And PK says, have you ever thought of running your own ads on YouTube? I've thought about it, but since I don't really understand how to go about it, I haven't done anything yet. there are so many things you can do to try and find people that it's hard to know where to spend your effort. I mostly tend to focus on just making new books. Jeff says, sorry, you don't repeating lines and you don't do that your book. Not sure what you meant there. Wonder Bubble says, Naomi Novak's Tamaray series about the Napoleonic Wars with dragons. I haven't read that. I've heard of it. I haven't read it yet. So, Chippewa says, thanks for clarifying. That is the period I was thinking of when I asked. Oh, you're welcome. Caleb says, this may be a dumb question, but was the reason the Immortal wanted to prevent Otto from the portals because he didn't want him traveling between worlds? Let me think. I'm sure that was some of it. Mostly, he just didn't want him to have the ability to, move around and cause trouble all over the world. And of course, traveling to other worlds was definitely something he'd like to avoid. I don't even know if having Voltan hooked up to the portal network would be enough to connect to another world. So I think it might have almost been an ego thing too. He just didn't like the idea of some mortal wizard having control over it instead of him. If there's one thing you can say for sure about the arcane lords, they weren't lacking in ego. Nothing like living for hundreds of years and being the most powerful beings in the world to make you less than humble, shall we say. Jeff Wilson says, I think you're great. Keep it up. You're one of my favorites. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wonder Bubble says, wars are won with mobility. Yeah, that's for sure. And you can't get much more mobile than being able to step through a portal and appearing thousands of miles away. Of course, back in the Arcane Lord days, if it was just within their world, they didn't even need the portals. They could just open a portal on their own. But yeah, definitely big advantage being able to go from point A to point B with a single step. It also kept your army from having to deal with anything unpleasant in between, ambushes or monsters or whatever. 1K sub says, I just finished the Soulbound series. Any recommendations? Let's see. If you read all of mine or listened to all of mine, I'm not really sure. Wonderful says, temporary personal portals. Yep, exactly. Sort of like, let me think. I guess like opening a personal door between any 2 points. But you had to be an arcane lord to manage that. So MPK says, I'm on the second book of the Soulbound saga. It's great, really captivating. Oh, good. I'm glad you're liking it. RTM says, looks like dinner's ready. Nice chatting, though brief. Yep, I'm glad you can make it. For the stream tonight. Always nice to see a familiar face pop up. 1K says, I haven't just read the Soulbound and Portal Wars. Oh, if you haven't read the Divine Key trilogy, then I think you'd like that. That would be my recommendation for your next listen. the Divine Key trilogy. It's got a couple little Easter eggs that you might recognize from the Soulbound saga. So, Steven says the Soulbound series is the expletive deleted. Joran is a great character. Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it. I'm always a little bit worried when I have such a different, because Joran is a lot different than Otto, and I'm glad people seem to be enjoying his personality and his story. He's more of a traditional, noble hero, I guess, even if he is a little bit cynical. Big Pete says, often thought that if an army had its magicians spend their time on equipment for soldiers to move around comfortably and quickly, it would make them a more effective fighting force. I suppose that's true, but there's definitely something to be said for throwing fireballs at the enemy formation. Ian Creech says, you research occultism for your stories. Coming late to the party. Hope all is well. Yep, all is well. And thanks for stopping by. I'm glad to see you. No, I don't really research occultism. Like real world stuff. I've done like historical, listen to things on history that have some occult flavor to them, I guess. I've been listening a lot to like stuff from the Middle Ages, like the Crusades and things like that. Let's see. Wonder Bubble says, I like that you don't reuse the same main character in all of your series. A lot of authors do that, and it makes their books boring and predictable. Yeah, I after a certain number of stories with the same character, I get bored and have to move on to something else. That's why most of my series aren't super long, like some of them. 7, 8 books, and I need, or sometimes less. I need to move on to something new. But I do like doing jumping back to like do another Aegis of Merlin story. Revisit Conryu and the gang. That's always fun. After Death Incarnate, the books kind of became standalones, where each one is a complete story. So that makes it easy to jump back and forth. Big Pete says, LOL, can't beat a bit of a fireworks party, I suppose. No, I suppose not. James Hill says, wizened by the world he lives in. Yeah. Vase of Flower says, religion freaks me out. Me too. 1K Sub says, if an author has a book on a paid platform like Audible, does the author get money for each view of the audiobook or just one time for the rights? On Audible, I get, if you read it with your subscription, I get about $1 per person who takes it out with their subscription, and I get about $2.50 if you buy it on Audible. So I actually make more money on YouTube from ads than I do on Audible. Pretty much, if you want to buy one of my books, on one of the audiobook sites, I make more basically anywhere than Audible. They're pretty much the worst as far as paying authors. But they also have the most volume and are the biggest site, so it kind of balances out. But yeah, I get like $5 if you buy on like Google or Apple. So Steven says Otto is great, but I like Joran a little more. Maybe because he feels like your classic good guy. Yeah, I definitely went that route with Joran. More of a classic fantasy hero. it was fun. You know, it's always nice to do something, a little bit different each time. I don't want to just write the same stories over and over again. MPK says, have you played any of the Witcher games? I have not. I don't really play video games that much. I used to when I was younger and had a Windows computer, but I haven't played much since I switched to an Apple computer. Risa Rice says, I'm just beginning the Portal Wars. I love the first one so much. Your storytelling is amazing. I listened to it straight through, ignoring my other responsibilities. Oh my goodness. That's like an 8-hour audiobook. I'm impressed that you listened to it straight through. Glad you enjoyed it. Andre White says, I have to go, unfortunately. I have an hour, so I want to listen to book 5 of the Portal Wars. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Glad you could stop by. Hope to see you next week. Darwin Dominguez is here. Good to see you, Darwin. Glad you could make it. I hope everything is well. Yes, everything is well. Thank you for asking. MPK says it's a shame because Audible is so user-friendly. Yep. It's an Amazon company, so you can be sure it'll be user-friendly. But much like Amazon itself, it's not necessarily so friendly to the people, the businesses using it. But, it is what it is. You got to be where the people are. So I try and get as many people as possible to buy direct from my website. You can listen in the BookFunnel app, and it works pretty well. I'm not saying it's as good as Audible, but it works pretty well. What's always funny to me is the pirates on YouTube. They can't even be bothered to edit the audiobook enough to take away an Audible production or something at the beginning. 1K sub says, do you think Daktari from the Divine Key trilogy and Otto would get along? I'm sure they'd get along fine as long as one didn't want to get in the other's way. If they were if their goals were opposed, I don't think they'd get along very well at all. Kayleen Rule says, hi, I just wanted to thank you for your work. I can't read because I'm recovering from a concussion and you saved me from so much boredom. Oh, good. I'm glad I could do that for you. And I hope you get to feeling better soon. I've had other people who say listening to my stuff has helped them when they weren't feeling well. So it's always a good feeling to be able to help people out, provide a little entertainment. Goodness knows we could all use a distraction from the world right now. I kind of, personally at least, see that as my, I guess, calling. That sounds kind of pretentious, but the thing I want to do, I don't have any big, causes. I just want to entertain and distract people from their day-to-day problems. And if I can do that, I figure that's a win. 1K sub says, which one would be stronger, Daktari or Otto? Daktari would be stronger. He is sort of pretty close to being an arcane lord himself. He wouldn't call himself that since they don't know what they are in that world, but power level wise, he's already immortal, and he's pretty close power level wise to an arcane lord. So I think he would probably beat Otto pretty handily. Of course, Otto's smart enough to know that, so he'd take one look at him through the ether and know that he was not someone to be trifled with. Unfortunately, I really wish that Divine Key trilogy had done better, because I had quite a few plans for the characters for a spin-off series, but that I think may never be. So, but we'll see what the future holds. You never know. I might write one. I might write off a spin-off story just for the hell of it. Big P says, getting to choose a unique vocation such as yours and making a living from it has to be good for the soul. It absolutely is. I've done a bunch of different things over the years, but being a writer and doing what I do, I both love it and I'm fairly good at it, which is a rare combination to be able to do something for a living that you both love and are good at. So, MPK says Ahmet Sir versus Conry. Who would win? Well, that's tough. Probably Ahmet Sir, just because he's immortal. So, no matter what Conry did, he wouldn't actually be able to kill him. Wonderwell says, right, Divine Key is my next series. Oh, very good. I'll look forward to hearing what you think of it. 1K Sub says, when did you write your first book? My very first novel that was absolutely god-awful and will never see the light of day, probably 2000-ish. It wasn't long. It was earlier than that. It was like the year after I graduated from high school, so I guess that would have been 97. Steven says, I think my love of classic good guy characters is why I would love to see more development of Cole the Squire. Yep, I could see that. Chip1 says, I tend to gravitate toward longer series. I really would have liked Divine Key to continue. All right, guys. We're getting towards the 1 hour mark, and I'm completely out of water. So if there are any more questions, this would be a good time to post them, and I'll try and get to them before we close down. Let's see. MPK says, what was your first published book? Darkness. Children of Darkness was my first book I published. I published that 8 years ago, I believe. It's gone through a lot of changes, though. I think I've had 3 book covers on it, and it hadn't been professionally edited when I first published it. Just read for typos by family members. So, Darwin Dominguez says, what are the plans for future series? Are you taking a break now? No, I'm working on I'm working on the 3rd book of a spin-off trilogy set in Coltsland. So that's what the next series I'm going to do. The 12th book in the Soul Aegis of Merlin is with my editor right now, so that'll be out late summer, early fall. So those are my plans for the immediate future anyway. Big Pete says, gotta go by. All right, good to see you, Pete. Glad you could make it. Chip1, see you next time. Artblade, thanks. Good to see you. Catch you next Sunday. Absolutely. Risa Rice says, I love writing. I just published my first book. I agree that it's good for the soul. Have a wonderful day. You too. It's great to see everyone. So I am going to call this one good. It was nice to see everybody. It was fun to chat with you. And I'll see you next Sunday. And don't forget, if you want to chat some more, you can just pop over to the Discord. One more question. Could you tell us the name of the main character of the new series? The main character's name is Harper Gale. See you guys.